Jeff was invited by Expedia to come to our office to give everyone the talk about stress management at work. And during his talk, he mentioned about this yin and the yang he drew on the whiteboard. And I thought to myself, that matched with what I am studying. So I encouraged myself secretly, and then once Jeff's speech was finished, I walked to him and said to him that, oh, if you're interested in Eastern philosophy, which I think you are, I would really love to introduce you to more about what the community that I've been going to. He later on received Tao, and once he received Tao, he actually think that Tao is for everyone. And then he brought his wife right there in the picture on the top left and also the bottom right, and to receive Tao along with his son.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome. I am incredibly honored to be here at this beautiful temple. It is a privilege to be among all of you people. He has been a person in my mind that has always been able to embrace change and be very present in what he's doing. I always kind of look at that and go, how do you do that? And many years ago, I realized that he likes reading philosophy books for fun. Introduce my friend Jeffrey Cartwright, 25-year first responder who's always found a way to serve his fellow human beings, to this gorgeous temple this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. So I don't need a microphone because I'm loud. And I kind of think that was a big introduction, so I really don't know. Like now you kind of know too much about me. But no, I'm really happy to be here today. And I'm going to talk, I mean, there's a wealth of knowledge in this room. There's so much experience and knowledge, and we all bring different views and different ideas. So today I'm just going to kind of talk to you a little bit about me and what works for me. And some stuff that works for me won't work for you, but I think we're kind of all on the same page because, you know, my goal in life at this point is to spread Tao and to be a kind person and to teach people and to try and live those sorts of ideals in my life every day. So, and I do walk around a lot, so you don't have to move the camera. And, you know, I don't like boring lectures, so I try not to give them. So, this is me, that's me up in the top left corner pointing. I'm very good at pointing. But, so my background is, 27 years. I started off when I was 21 as a paramedic on the ambulances, and I did that for 3 years. And then I went into the fire service, where I rose through the ranks, a firefighter, lieutenant, captain, and acting battalion chief. And I teach the fire academy still today. To this day, I teach the new recruits that are coming in, and I teach the young officers that are coming up and working to be an officer. And the one on the bottom there was a fire that unfortunately we didn't win that fight, as you can tell. It was a bit of a loss. But that's kind of the thing too. With I'm a Type A personality. I like to take control of things. I don't like to lose. I played sports my whole life. You know, I was a firefighter, and the nature of what we do is we win. I come into situations, and if somebody's trapped in a car, I will get you out. If you're in a fire, I will get you out. If we're in a sport, if I'm on the ice, I want the puck because I want to try and score. There we go. I like it. It's good.
Hockey players.
So yeah, and same, you know, and in hockey and lacrosse, if we didn't get the way we wanted, we would fight sometimes. Just because we were so mad, it was a way to get out our energy. So that's why I have scars all over my face. But you know, as a Type A personality, a person who likes to win, you look. I watched so many people die over the years, and so many tragic things happen that I didn't have control, that slowly it was starting to eat me. It was starting to take away my, you know, the way I saw the world, and it was starting to just take everything from me. And like Katie said, I've always been enamored with philosophy, and so when I first started studying Eastern philosophy, the one thing that I found about it was everything I read was, I would read it and I'd say, that makes sense, I have to do that. That makes sense, I have to do that. And you know, it's the same throughout. And what I like about it is it's taught to us, and it's not saying, this is what you're going to do, and if you don't do this, you're a bad person. As in so much religion. Do this or you're going to hell. Do this and you're bad. Do this and you're doing the right thing. it challenges you. It says, are you being kind? Can you be better? Are you doing what's right? Why are you doing this? Are you doing it because you want to make money, or are you doing it because it's the right thing to do? And that's what I like, and it never stops. Anytime I read anything new or learn something new from Mason or from anybody, every single time I listen, I'm like, I gotta do more of that, or I gotta pay more attention to that. And it means a lot. So when I left the fire service, actually before I left, for the last few years, I went back to school. Like I told you, my life started to get really devastated. I started not being able to sleep. It was taking a toll on me, the things. I did go to 9/11 when it happened. I was part of a group of firefighters that went there, and I went to ground zero, and we were on the pile, and we you know, the things I saw there, and the thing, we pulled some stuff out, and it was horrible. And that was, I think, kind of a breaking point for me. It was the first time in my life where 1 minute I was standing there, and the next minute I was literally crying, breaking down. I couldn't pull myself together. It was the first time it had ever happened. And I just thought, something's not right, you know. So I went back, started talking to people. And then, now I work as I teach to a lot of corporate clients. I get brought in to teach a variety of things. But I also work as a trauma clinician. So when something tragic happens, like you see it on the news every day, the mass shootings, all kinds of stuff like this, the murders, all the terrible things, I get brought in as a trauma specialist, and I come in and I do the initial debriefings with the people that were involved or the people that were impacted. So basically I put a Band-Aid on the situation and show some empathy, and then I make sure that they get the help they need. So I still to this day do that, and you know, it's sort of my calling, so I do it, and it's my work, and it's what I'm contracted to do. But what I really love to do is this. What I really love to do is, like the class I did with Sandy, is to teach. So what we're going to talk about today is what really attracted me to Eastern philosophy. Lotus nature is something that I kind of came up with, and I like to teach and talk to people about, because it's kind of an all-encompassing aspect that some of us are bad some days and good some days. We come from bad and we try to do good, but we can always be changing. We can always be pristine. We can always have days where we do things right, and we change the way we act, we change the way people feel, and it's important. We talk about 6 lessons of Eastern philosophy, and then just finish with a little gratitude and mindfulness, things that are super important. So anybody have any questions? Feel free to yell at me, question me, and you know, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm always willing to learn. Just don't throw things at me. So philosophy, like Katie had told you, it's always been something that I was super attracted to. I was always interested in it. But, you know, for me, you know, growing up in Western civilization, when someone says, do you like philosophy? We think, yeah, we think Aristotle and Socrates. We think about Greek mythology and Eastern European. And what I love about philosophy is it's debating, it's questioning. What is right? What is wrong? Why do you think this way? Can you think better? And it's always been around. But then when I discovered Buddhism and Taoism and Confucianism, I was drawn to it instantly. And the reason I was drawn to it instantly was the kindness. It was the empathy. It was the growing, the internal growing. And for me, like I told you, who was broken, it was healing. It gave me hope that I could heal and I could be better. Because when I read about it, when I would read countless books about it, or study it, or practice it, or when I go over to Mason's house, I leave feeling like somebody plugged me in and recharged my batteries. Does that make sense to everybody? Because that's what I get it from. It's like recharging my batteries. You feel the same way? Yeah, it is. Sorry, I got dry mouth and talk so much. So there's lots of words up there, but basically, this is, and you might have different interpretations. This is sort of the way when I explain Taoism to people. It's an effortless way where we're active when the energy's flowing. So when we feel good, when we're having good days, we really propagate. We really try to go out of our way and do those kind things, and to maybe reach out and talk to that person who needs to be talked to. And then sometimes we have bad days. We all have sad days. We all have days. I don't care how great your life is. You're going to have days where you're not feeling happy. But that's where we learn to accept that. Okay, I don't feel that great right now. It's not up to me to go and reach. And then, but it helps us to get through life. It helps us to achieve our goals, and it helps us to heal, to feel better, and to go through every day with hope and trying to continue to move forward. Does that make sense? Anything anybody would add to that, that they think that's just kind of missing from up there? You can come and yell at me later. But like I said, everything that I've written up here is my thoughts and my stuff. So you might have way more that you want to add to it. So this was something I always thought was interesting. When Lao Tzu was asked by Confucius about history, he talked more. If you look at it, he says, when the hour of the great man is struck, he rises to leadership. Before his time has come, he's hampered in all the attempts. I've heard that the successful merchant conceals his wealth. He acts as though he had nothing. That a great man, that through abounding his achievements, is simple in his manners and appearance. Get rid of your pride and many ambitions, your affection and your extravagant aims. Your character gains nothing from these. So to me, my interpretation of that is, it doesn't matter. You can stand on a soapbox and tell people, I am so great and this is why I'm so great. But that's not what's important. What's important is to be great, to be kind. It's one thing to stand there and to say, I'm kind, but are you kind? You know, and most of the time, like especially in politics, you find that people will tell you all these great things they do because they have to convince you that they're great so you vote for them. But the greatest people that I've ever met, they don't tell you anything about that. They don't say, this is why I'm great. They just say, hello, nice to meet you. And then later on you hear, do you know what that guy has done? Do you know the things he does? You know? And in hockey, great, we got hockey players in here. What do we do in hockey when we have a great game? If I have a game in hockey and I score 5 goals and we win 5-0 and they interview me at the end of the game, what do I sit there and say, you know what? And they say, you had a great game, you know, what do you think about your next game? Well, you know, I was pretty awesome today and I'm probably going to be pretty awesome next game. But what do we do in hockey?
Give it to the team.
Right, put it to our team. Well, we played well. And they go, but Jeff, you scored all the goals. Yeah, but my team was hitting, my team was getting me the puck, our goalie was making incredible. That's what we do. That's what good people do, kind people, and that's why they're the best players. You'll never hear the best players in any sport, and I do a lot of sports analogy because sports is kind of my thing, so at least I got a couple of people with me. But the best athletes were always just like, it wasn't me, and I couldn't have done it without my team. And when you do find a player who makes an interview at any sport and they take all the credit, it's all you hear about from every other athlete going, did you hear that interview? That was awful. And inevitably that player will not thrive. They will get caught up in their own ego. And that's that word, ego. Ego takes people down. So, like, these are just a few of the courses that I teach, right? These are the things that I get brought in to teach to Expedia.ca and Air Canada and Starbucks and Overways and Canada Post and all these high, big companies. They bring me in because this is what they need. And they need these because this falls into the categories that they can say, yes, we've done this training, we've educated our employees. But the problem that I have, and maybe you can help me with this, is now that I believe so strongly in what we're talking about today, in Taoism, Buddhism, Confucianism, it's so hard for me to do a lecture and to stay on the topic of respect in the workplace, or stay on the topic of emotional intelligence in the workplace, because I want to tell you what I've learned. I want to tell you what works to help me feel healthy and happy, and to be kind, and what I also attribute to my success. The reason when I go talk and do a lecture for a large group of a corporation, they say, everybody said we want you back. It's because it's the Taoism, it's the Confucianism, it's the Buddhism, because it creeps in, and I without standing on there and saying, now this, we're going to talk about Taoism, I bring it in some sort of a business sense. But it's what people want to hear. People are looking for something, especially today. I mean, it's a chaotic world, and this is what we're looking for. So Lotus Nature, it's sort of, when I kind of came up with a little concept, and it was something that was easy for people to understand, because as soon as you say religion, people want to run. They get scared. They feel like you want to force them into learning something, or you want to force them into learning what you learn. And the lotus flower is an innocent little thing. So when I talk about the lotus flower, people are like, oh yeah, I like lotus flowers for sure. So it's a bit easier to explain. So this is just what I tell people, is that when I began to study about it, anything I learned, it related to mindfulness, it related to kindness, it related to gratitude, and it related to giving it back and to feeling it yourself. And suddenly these things that were happening daily, these blessings, these great things that were happening, I was starting to become more aware of them. I started to think about them more, and I started to think, that was a good thing that just happened. You know, simple thing, like somebody, they're going to Starbucks and they say, is this something I'm doing?
That's the main door opening.
Oh, okay, good. I thought I knew. Like something simple, like going to Starbucks and they say, what's your name? And you say Jeff, and you get your cup back and it says Stephanie. Like that's funny. And that's something that when you appreciate small things like that and you can have fun with that, that's something, but as I always ask people to do. And you know, is there any people here that journal? That do journal of their lives, diaries? Really good. It's awesome. Isn't it a great thing? I don't do it. I wish I did. But it's because I don't like to write on business to do it, and I always get good feedback. Take a piece of paper and put it by your bed. Put it on your pillow. And for 2 weeks do this. Just 2 weeks. And if you don't like it, write down 3 good things that happened to you that day. Just 3 good things. It could be getting my name as Stephanie instead of Jeff on my cup. And do it for 2 weeks. And what happens is you start to retrain your brain. Our brains are elastic well into our 90s. We may think you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but you can. And we're elastic right into our 90s. So you get in and you start to think, well, you know what, I gotta find 3 things. So every day now, instead of these things that were happening, the good thing, good thing, good thing, and you're just walking through life like this, now all of a sudden you're like, ooh, that's gonna go on my list. Ooh, that's gonna go on my list. And you see what you're doing? You're training yourself to look for things. And then before you know it, instead of sitting there going, what 3 things should I write down today? You're going, all day you're going to be going, well, that's going to go on my list tonight. And then you're going to be, by noon, you're going to be going, I already got like 10 things. Okay, I can get rid of that. That's going to go on my list. You see what I mean? It starts to retrain your brain, and it'll work. Is everybody going to try it, or you just humor me? Who's going to do it? Oh, good. I want to hear the results. So basically, when I describe Lotus nature, I say it's a movement. Every day, the lotus flowers, every single night, it submerges into the mud and the filth, and it grows in the filthiest conditions. And then every day when it blooms pristine. It doesn't have water on the petals, it doesn't have mud on the petals, it doesn't have that filth. Every day it comes pristine. So let's say that I have a day where I don't have a good day, and you know, I don't floor out of bed every day and do the right thing. Some days I'm mean. Some days I have bad days. But that doesn't mean the next day I can't go back and start again, and the next day I can't be perfect some days. Some days I can be perfect. I can just do everything right those days. And that's like the lotus flower. Every day you get a chance to come out and be good and to do the right thing. Does that make sense? And then there's life, right? You know, we had one of the discussions we had in our philosophy group a few weeks back when we started talking about monetary gain. We started talking about, is it okay to live a life of down and to property down, but also to want to have that nice new Mercedes and to have that nice house and to have a bank account full of money? Is that troublesome for anybody else? You know, like, I do get down on my knees and say my prayers every night, and I never ask for things, but then if I do ask for, you know, like, if I'm trying to achieve something, I ask for strength and resilience to achieve my goals, but I don't ask, like, you know what, that lottery that's 60 million, please let me win that money. But is it wrong, you know, like with my business and when I'm getting big contracts, is it wrong for me to want to do that? Is it wrong for me to want that nice car, No, it's not. But it will not come as a result of me giving up the way I act and what I do. And what you find is when you start to believe and you start to live your life that way, they work together. They really do. And I love it. Everybody's nodding, so I love to see that. Like, that's the important. That's what I try to tell people. You can. It's like when you look at a drag racing car and they put them before they go to the drag racing track. They spin their tires on oil to heat them up, and then they go forward and then they leave. And if you're just trying, thinking, I gotta do this, I gotta get the money, I gotta do this, yeah, but you know what, I should spend some time and meditate, and I should go help this person out. Yeah, I don't have time for that, because right now I'm gonna get this money that I want, I'm gonna get this house that I want, then I'll go back to doing that. Does anybody believe that'll work? Because it won't. It won't, because it takes you off, it takes you away from what you believe, and it takes you away from what makes you strong. The things that I've achieved, since I changed the way I think and the way I turn my life around and the way I focus on the kindness, it's palpable. You can feel it. You can feel the changes in you. And we're going to talk a little bit later about like a little bit of anger and resentment. And this is something that maybe you can help me with, because it's still an area that I struggle with. I still get angry, and it's hard for me when good things happen to bad people and when bad things happen to good people. It's hard, but I deal with it and I learn about it and I pray on it and I try to get stronger. But we all have weaknesses. Some people it's going to be donuts. Some people it's going to be this. Mine is I'm that type A personality. And if you harm me or my family, I want to harm you. And I work so hard on it, and I'm better. But you can see that I can't stand here and lie to you and say, I don't think about harming people. I don't think about paying back somebody who's harmed me. Because it's not true. I do still think about that, but I work on it, and I get better at it daily. And I don't act out on it. It's okay to think about it, but then you think about it with yourself, you talk to friends about it, and then you don't act on it. So life will move forward. It's okay to pursue our goals. It's okay to pursue the things we want, the monetary gains, but we have to stay with what we know. So these are the 6 lessons that we're going to talk about today. It's certainly not an all-encompassing group. It's not an exhaustive list, but it's just the 6 things I chose to talk about today. So life is suffering. Can we all agree? It is. And that's the noble truth. Buddha, that life is unavoidably about suffering. And Buddha continually seeks to adjust our expectations, right? Money will come and go. You will have a successful business and you may lose everything, right? Good things happen to bad people. Bad things happen to good people. Friends that we've had, they'll betray us. Things that we'll pursue, we'll get it. You'll pursue a relationship. I want to date that girl so bad. And then you date her and you go, what was I thinking, right? We constantly pursue these things and then we get let down. And it's just the way life is. And for Buddha, the wise person should take care to grow completely at home. That means that we have to look just what I talked about. We have to stay close to our beliefs. We have to stay close to our belief in Tao. We have to stay close to believing that, yes, I'm going to continue to do the right thing and I'm going to continue to grow as a person, because those things that I want, if I get them, there's a reason I get them, right? And when I talk, like I said, when I talk in business, I have trouble because I have faith. Some people don't. So you don't want to go into a workplace and start talking about faith and religion, because you're going to make some people angry. It's automatically going to make people angry. So the thing is, but I tell people you have to be happy with the person you are. And it doesn't matter what religion you are. If you're not happy with the person you are and the person you're out in public and the person you're portraying, then you can have all the money in the world, but you won't be happy, right? And then, we just talked a little bit about Buddha, right? He was surprisingly cheerful and generally had an inviting warm smile. But it was because he knew that it's comfort of knowing what you know. And if bad things are happening, well, that's okay, because you're going to get through it. If good things are happening, then that's good. That's a bonus, right? As long as we don't stray away from what we believe. Does that make sense? Good. Is everybody with me? Yeah. Good. So, has anybody ever heard that? The Art of Cheerful Despair? It's interesting to read about. It's basically saying, like, you have to learn to be happy with yourself and what you have. And so that when bad things happen, you're still okay with it. Has anybody heard of the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh? Yeah, I've been trying to get you to read his books. I read his books all the time. And in one of his books, he says that we're like a flower, and all we need to grow is dirt, water, and sun. That's the truth. But to really grow, we need garbage. We need dead bugs, dead flowers, dead vegetables, to really just all this garbage in our life. And that's when the flower will grow its best. It's the same with us. If you live life and you never experience adversity or traumas or anything bad or anything good, and having that good thing get taken away, what do we learn from life? What kind of advice can we give to friends? What kind of a parent can we teach our children? We need to have gone through these things to be a better person, right? And you take an extreme example like Nelson Mandela. The man was jailed for half his life for a concept, and his concept was, we should all get along. That was his concept, and he wrote an article to that saying that there should be no discrimination, there should be no fighting, we need to get along, and he got put in prison for half his life. Did he come out and he was a bitter man and said, I want revenge and I'm going to pay back? No, he came out and said, I learned so many things by learning about myself and learning about the negative I went through, and he changed the world in such a positive way, right? You know, and that's what we have to do. We have to look at life like that. Benevolence. Who can agree benevolence it's such an important thing? It's so important. We have to have benevolence. We have to have kindness. It is basically the foundation. It's the one thing for me that I get pulled back by it. When I start to maybe pursue too many other things, I have to get pulled back by it, right? So, you know, and like I said, I've got lots of stuff written up there, so if you want to read through, I kind of don't like to read all the slides to people. I'd rather just talk to you and not avoid things if you're going to throw things at me. So. But, you know, the purpose is of this assumption is the feelings toward people are not fixed. We can change the way we think. We can change the way we think, but it takes work, and it has to be deliberate change. It has to be something that we work on all the time. It's a learnable skill, compassion. And in your word is meta. There we go. Number 3 is compassion. Shortly after his enlightenment, he decided to share his teachings with the world, even though he initially thought what he had discovered might be too much for anyone to understand. He knew that beings being trapped in the cycle of birth and death and suffering that comes with it. And that's for most of us. We're just, you know, people say, if I just get that promotion, I'll be happy. If I just get that car, I'll be happy. If I just get this, I'll be happy. And we don't come home and appreciate the good things we have. We don't go out and somebody says, hey, I really need you today. And you go, yeah, but you know what? I have to put an extra hour into work because I want to achieve these monetary things. Whereas if we stay strong in our beliefs, we'll say, you know what? The more important thing for me to do right now is to take that hour out and help that friend. That work can wait. And if I am going to achieve, if I'm going to get that car I want or those things I want, they will come if I do the right thing. And that's good. Again, I see people in line. It's super important, right? So we feel compassion for friends, relatives going through hard times. We identify with their suffering and we imagine. So for those of you, like, there's the difference between empathy and sympathy, right? Empathy means we feel with them. Sympathy means we just feel sorry for them, right? And especially, you know, when I go into these situations, some of the ones I go into are horrific. They're just terrible. These people have just had the worst thing happen in their life. The worst thing that most people will ever have happen in their life. And do you know what they need from me? Sometimes just a kind smile and a hug sometimes. A hug will go further than an hour with a therapist at that point, you know, because there's no healing that's going to happen when I first go in. It's still raw. They just need me to say, I care about you and I'm here for you. If you want to cry, cry. If you want to walk, we'll walk. If you want to yell at me, yell at me. Just don't throw anything, right? So it goes so far, and it's a developed skill. It's something that, you know, we all have those friends that you'll be trying to tell them about how sad you are or how bad you're feeling that day, and they're trying to finish your sentences, or they're trying to say, oh, that's nothing because this one time this happened to me and it was way worse than that, right? That's difficult to deal with, and we don't want to be that person. So extending goodwill and care and consideration. That's the most important thing, right? And then Taoism goes further than this. Loving kindness is something that should be extended to all beings without exception. This would include people that may want to be neutral or do us harm. This is, again, where I start to struggle. I struggle with, you know, someone in my life who's tried to harm me and my family, and I know about it, and it's hard for me. I know I should pray for them. I know I should forgive them, and it's hard because of the person that I am, but I work on it. Maybe one day I will be able to. Maybe I'll be able to look at someone and smile and say, I forgive you, and have them look at me like this. Because right now I think if I said that, they think that meant I was going to wait for them all back. But, you know, maybe one day I'll get better at that. I do work on it, and I try. You know, the aspect of Taoism is very challenging, and it's often quite natural for us to dislike or feel angry. There's no doubt that loving kindness is something we have to work on. Who here feels that they don't need to work on it? Does anybody feel that it's the way they live? Sandy, Emily, you must be the closest thing I've ever seen to it. No? Because that's good, at least, so we're honest here. Like, this is like Las Vegas, what we say here stays here. So, but yeah, it's true. It's something that we have to work on. For me, it's a lot of work. It's not in my personality to not pay you back for hurting me. But I work on it. And I know that when I do forgive people, and it works out for the best, I'm really proud of myself. It's something that I really work on. So, Wu Wei. So I tell you a funny story about this. The very first time I heard of Wu Wei was a long time ago before I started studying it. And it came from a guy who was a very successful manufacturer. He was a really wealthy guy, and he sold off his manufacturing business for millions and millions of dollars. And he stayed on with his company just to help them get through some things. And, basically they were paying him to do nothing. And it was when the computers really first started coming out, and he discovered card solitaire on there. So he said he would literally sit at his desk all day and play solitaire. That's all he did. He's worth millions, he's retired, what else is he going to do? And he talks with this lady, and he gets it, boom, 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 boom. This guy with the story goes, listen, he's like, this has to be taken care of, promise me. And he's like, yeah, I got it. And he's like, you promise, you're going to take care of it. Yeah, I got it. He closed the door and went away. And the guy went back to playing solitaire and totally forgot about it. He totally forgot about it. And he says that about 2 weeks later, hey, I just want to thank you for taking care of that problem. Whatever you did, I don't know how you did it, but whatever you did, that's incredible. It's never been taken care of like that. Thank you so much. We're so glad you're here. And he's like, yeah, okay. He closed the door and he's like, what is he talking about? It took him a while to clue in that he really didn't do anything, right? He didn't do anything, but it took care of itself, because that's what happens with a lot of problems. Now, the thing with Wu Wei is you have to be cautious, because doesn't mean that you should leave your visa bill because it's just going to go away, or you shouldn't pay your mortgage, or you shouldn't, if you get a speeding ticket, you shouldn't pay it. That's different, right? It's not about being lazy. It's about understanding that sometimes the best thing we can do to act is by not acting at all. Does that make sense to everybody? I think we know that, right? And it's the more that you start to understand it, the more that you start to understand that this is the problem you have. It's this big. But a lot of people can't think about it that way. They think, this is my problem. But if that happens, and this is going to happen, then this is going to cost me, and then I'm going to lose this thing, and then I'm going to have to go do this thing, and then this is going to happen, and then I have to take a day off work, and the problem becomes this. And what happens? That problem never comes. Mark Twain has a saying that he said years ago, and said, there's many a problem which I've worried about that's never come to fruition. There's so many things that we worry about, and it's like, what if this happens? And they lose sleep, and they lie there, and they spend weeks fretting on it, and it never comes up. It just never comes up, right? And there's I always tell people that in business, I say, think of a problem, and if it's really consuming your life and stressing you every day, just think, is this going to be a problem 1 year from now? And if the answer is no, then it's not worth losing the night's sleep about it. Deal with problems as they come, right? So it's basically the last thing there. It's our willingness to trust our faith and the knowledge to act when instances are actually going to solve the problem or add value to the problem, right? So just have that faith, whether it's something if it's not necessary, but it's something that you're hoping to resolve or take care of, be smart, and I put this continuum up here. And so you're never stagnant on this continuum with any sort of problem. It's always moving around. So just think of it as a blip on there. Like, when on a radar screen, you see that blip, blip. So every day, just if you can imagine your problem being on that chart, and it's going blip, blip, it's going to move around. It's not going to stay static on there. It's going to move. And it's going back and forth, knowing when to act, knowing when not to act, acting and knowing not to act, right? So knowing not to act is kind of like you're getting into an argument with your partner, and there's something that you've been dying to say, but you know that now's not the time, right? I say it anyways, which gets me in trouble. It's just like, when we sometimes when we get angry, we'll be into I'll be into an argument with my wife, and I have the little birdies on my shoulder, and I know I'm wrong. So the little birdie's going, Jeff, you're wrong. Just admit it right now, and it's all going to stop. Do you think I do? Sometimes I'm like, shh, be quiet. You know what? And it's the whole time it's going, just say you're wrong, and it's all going to stop. And I'm going, stop. And then the other one's going, hey, you know what? She burned breakfast the other day too. Make sure you bring that up. And I'm going, you burned breakfast the other day. And then you're digging the hole deeper. And I'm going, you know what I mean? So my common sense and everything I know about being kind is stop. You're wrong. But sometimes we get caught up in life, and we start getting caught up. So later on, I have to go back and say, remember when we had that discussion today, and I brought up all those things? I knew I was wrong, and I was wrong, and I'm sorry. So that's us being able to reclaim, get back on track with our Tao, right? Get back on track with, yes, I did the wrong thing. Yes, I brought up things in our discussion that were wrong and I shouldn't have done it, but I'm going to make amends for now and I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. So sometimes just remember that. Just try and keep that wu wei in your mind, because it's something it's also, I mean, if you look at it from a cost-effective and time-effective point of view, it's very good that way. It's very beneficial. A lot of businesses would benefit by using wu wei, going, we don't have to act on that right now. It's a priority. Let's keep it on the radar and watch it. And when we need to act, when he starts to sliding up the top, then we're going to act on it. But in the meantime, it's just something that's on there. So for me right now, on that thing, I probably have maybe 16, 18 blips going blip, 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 and I'm watching them all. Does that make sense? Other people have that too? You have lots of things going on in your life, lots of things. We can't deal with it all. We can't deal with it all right now. So we're watching it constantly and knowing, okay, it's starting to slide up to the top of knowing to act. It's time for me to act on that now. Wisdom. So, you know, one of the things, now there's the philosopher, now I had the name, what is it? Zheng Shi. Is that right? Where's Joe? Again? Okay. Has anybody else heard of Zheng Shi? What are you laughing at? I got a clicker on here for you. But he painted like, I think it was 800 or 1,000. He was a philosopher of Taoism and an artist. He talked about bamboo all the time and wisdom, and I've read lots of things. And he talks about bamboo is like an awning. It's just this weird thing. It's not a tree, it's a weed, but it's so strong beyond anything, and it's hollow in the middle, which is us, where it's that emptiness, but it's not. That's what makes it stronger, the vigor on the outside. And they say, you know, it can blow all the way this way and touch the ground, and blow all the way this way and touch the ground, and come back, and it's still strong. You know, and I mean, I know that the first time I was in Hong Kong and I saw like these 100-foot buildings with bamboo on the side as the scaffold, and I'm thinking, do they not have the money to afford big scaffolding? This is a big city, but that's so much stronger and it's so much better. And so, you know, you think you put that into our lives, and we have to have that wisdom. We have to understand that life is going to do this to us. Life is going to do this. You know, the thing that Sandy talked about, I quite often, and this is where I kind of, things creep in, but I did it when I was at Expedia. You know, I draw the yin and the yang, and I say, this is your perfect self. If you think of it, the yin and yang over my head, right here, this is where I'm the best father, the best husband, the best friend, the best worker, the best in everything. I am living down, everything is perfect. And then if you look off to this side, if you think of it turning red, you think that that's anger, resentment, hatred, all those things that take us into that bad place. And then you think the other side is blue. You think, this is depression, sadness. Why is this happening to me? Why is everything going wrong? This is where I want to stay. Oh, I don't want to go over there, and I don't want to go over there. And you know what life does? It just does this. It drags you. It will not allow you to stay here. It wants you to go there. And the people you meet, half of them are over here, half of them are over here, and the other half are right in your zone. These are the people that you can work with. You can go up to them and say, you really hurt my feelings. Actually, I only have one feeling, so you hurt my feeling. And that's what my wife says, you only have one feeling. So that's what I say, you hurt my feeling. I have one and you hurt it. But, you know, so that's what you can say to that person. You hurt my feeling, and they say, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Or you say, you hurt my feelings, and they say, yeah, but this is why, and you go, oh my gosh, I was wrong, I'm sorry, that was my fault. Like, that's your zone, that's where you're best. Then you have people over here that, you know that saying, misery loves company? It's true. It's not because they don't like you or they want you to be sad or they want you to hurt like they hurt. A lot of the time it's because they want validation. They want you to look at them and to say, oh my gosh, how are you getting through this? Like, this is awful. They want to be validated, and it feels better, if you're sad, it feels better if people are with you. You know, that human contact, it releases the oxytocin in our brain. It's what we need to feel healthy. And same thing when you're angry. Why do you think when there's someone mad and they're going to start a protest, they rally a mob? Because they want more people with them. And in life, you have to stay, and I wish I would have put that chart in there, but you have to try as best you can is to stay in your zone. And then when you go out of it, you have to realize and you have to come back. And when you have those people that are angry and resentful and they want to fight with you, they want to argue with you, you have to understand you can't go out there because you won't solve problems. You can't solve problems if you're not your best self. So you say to that person, come in, come, let's talk about this. And if they want to stay out there, then you say, when you're ready to talk, I might be wrong and you might be wrong, but we'll talk when we're both on the right terms. I'm not going to go and stand face to face and yell with you. I'm not going to get into arguments with you. And same with the person who's in sadness. You say, I want to help you, but you have to come and talk to me. We have to talk about this, because I'm not just going to sit there and eat a liter of ice cream with you and cry. I want to try and help you to feel better so that we can get back to where I want to be. Does that make sense? Remember that in life. It's so important that you cannot. And I will catch myself because I will be angry. And I'll be like, I'm not my best self right now. I have to get back to what I know. So maybe I go and Monday night recharges my batteries. It centers me. It brings me back. Or maybe I go and I call somebody, or I go read a book, or I do some meditation. I do things like that to bring myself back. Because life will always drag you both ways, but you can always get yourself back. Does that make sense? Good. So, the more wisdom of the Buddha is aroused within us, the more powerful we can in turn write all our things, our knowledge, our talents, and the unique particulars of our character to the end of creating happiness for ourselves and others. Isn't that our goal? Is that true life? That's our goal, right? That's a picture of me. Maybe not. Knowing yourself is true wisdom, mastering yourself is true power. So, it's okay if you're having a bad day. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, it's okay, I'm having a bad day. Tomorrow's going to be better, or this afternoon's going to be better, but it's okay to have a bad day. So meaning in life, and if you look at a vase that's cracked, that vase that's cracked, to some, it's garbage, it's a waste, but to some it's beautiful because it's been put back together and it's been through things. It's been through this traumatic thing that smashed it, and everybody else wrote it off. But to somebody, they saw the beauty, and they put it back together, and they want to learn from it, right? So, the meaning of life is what we choose for it to be. If the meaning of your life is to make millions of dollars and to screw people over and to watch people lose their bank accounts and lose their pensions by selling them the wrong thing, but you just keep profiting, then I can't change the way you think. That's the way you think. Money is the most important thing, right? And it's why, when people look at, famous movie stars and rock stars and athletes that take their own lives and they go, oh, why? They had everything. They had all the money. They had the most beautiful wife in the world. They had fanfare. They had everything that they could want in life. But did they? No. Did they go home and cry every night because they didn't feel whole? They had nothing that made them feel good. It's when I say my prayers at night, I ask for strength and resilience to get through things, but it also reminds me of the gratitude I have that day and the great things that happened that day and the things that I got through that seemed hopeless a couple days ago, but I just asked for strength and resilience to get through it. And then all of a sudden I'll be praying and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's right, that problem resolved itself. It did, and all that gratitude. So that's where I want to be. That's where I want to be happy. And if somebody gives you all this money and you say, okay, you can have all this money, but you're going to have to do real bad things, there's people that would take it. But you think that's going to last? It's not. They're not going to be happy. Eventually it's going to catch up with them. And that's why you see some of the kindest people in the world, it was funny, I read an article about, what's his name from The Matrix? Keanu Reeves. Has anybody read the article about the kindness that he does?
Yeah.
He is such a kind man. He's given away millions of dollars. He's gone to movies where they've said, we want you to take this much money, and he said, give me half that and give the other half to the crew. He's bought people, he's given away, I think it's at $150 million of his own salary he's given away to people. And he lives in New York and he takes the subway and he's happy, And that's that thing that we talked at the start. He's not the person standing on the soapbox saying, I'm so great. He's the person that's going, I'm blessed. and I'm going to continue to give it away. And that, I guarantee you, if he was standing here talking to you right now, he would tell you that that's what makes him feel great, is the people's lives he's impacted and the good things he's done, right? And at times, we might not have as much to give, but as long as we have that intention and we do the right thing, that's one thing. When we have the money to give and we give, it's going to feel good. You know, there was a study that I've shown some people, and it was, they gave flat screen TVs to 50 people, to 100 people, and they gave it to 50 of the people that said they were going to keep it, and they were going to give it to 50 of the people that said they were going to give it away. And then they had to be monitored for a study for a year. And it showed that people that kept it, they were all, both happiness was like this when they left, and then as the year went on, the people that kept it, their happiness just dropped off. And the people that gave it away, it didn't just go like this, it just kept going up. Because it reminded them all the time, I gave that TV away, I did the right thing, I did the right thing. Every day that person that kept the TV, when you read their study, they basically came home and yeah, they may love their TV and they still might think they did the right decision because they needed a TV, but there was that little piece of them. Even the grinchiest ones with the smallest hearts, there was that little piece of them that thought, I should have given it away, I did the wrong thing. That was my opportunity to do something and I didn't do it. And that's what the study shows. And that resonates with me, right? Doesn't that make sense? That's the way I would feel. I'd be like, I should have done that. I should have given it away. So even though you have it and you should be enjoying it, you're not enjoying it because you know deep down you should have given it away, right? So this was from the Dalai Lama. I believe this is his definition. I believe the purpose of life is to be happy. From the moment of birth, every human wants happiness and does not want suffering. Neither social conditioning or education or ideology affect this. From the very core of our being, we simply desire contentment. I don't know whether the universe with its countless galaxies, stars, planets have deeper meaning or not, but at the very least, it's clear that we as humans who live in this earth face a task of making happy lives for ourselves. Therefore, it is important to discover what will bring about the greatest degree of happiness. Isn't that wonderful? You know, and that's what one of my favorite quotes was. Somebody asked Dalai Lama, what religion are you? What is your religion? And he said, it's simple. Be kind to one another. That's all I ask. And, you know, that's the one thing. I mean, I grew up Catholic. I grew up in a Catholic family and going to church, you know, when I was younger. And it was very, and this is not a slight against the Catholic Church, but it was, to me, it was just always, okay, so let me get this straight. I'm supposed to be scared of God. Yeah. Okay, so I can do bad things during the week, but if on the weekend I go and say I'm sorry for it, I'm good. Yeah. So I got to do that every weekend. Yeah. So I can do whatever I want to. No, you're supposed to do the right thing, but if you don't, you get forgiven on the weekend. Okay. And then I would go there, and these people would be so mean to each other, and it's like, so what's the ruling on that? Hell. What's the ruling on that? Heaven. What about if I want to do that? Hell. And it's like, well, is it subject to interpretation? No, it says so right here. Read that. And it's like, but I don't get it. Like, it's giving me no guidance. I don't understand. And then when I started learning about Taoism, I was like, it just constantly was like, so what does this say? Well, if you read through all these pages, in the end it says, just do the right thing. Do what you know in your heart is right, and what is kind, and what helps other people. And that's sort of the theme that goes through everything. Right? Gratitude is huge. So we talked about that, looking at things. So I really want to get some feedback if I can. You can, everybody write Sandy and Emily a letter and let them know. Every single day you have to give her an email. 2 sometimes. They'll respond. But no, try it. But you can see how that works, right? It retrains our brains that, like, every night you know you have to do 3 things. So now you're going to be looking all the time. But when you look at research, it shows us that it makes it abundantly clear that the benefits of living a grateful life is irrefutable. You will feel better. When you do the right thing, you feel good. When you do the wrong thing, you feel bad. That doesn't stop some people from doing the wrong thing, but you will feel better. Okay? It's an attitude. It can be changed. Some people just, there is people that are like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. They're just like, everything's bad. You know, that's the way they are. But they can change. They can change the way they think, right? The daily practice of gratitude keeps the heart open. So that could come from your meditation. First thing in the morning if you meditate, Or any time during the day you feel stressed out, you say, I'm going to go sit by myself for 2 minutes and meditate, or 5 minutes, and breathe properly. And I'm going to think of some things I'm grateful for that have already happened today, right? Through Tao's the same practice, we are reminded how gratitude and all its related qualities, thankfulness, appreciation, compassion, generosity, and many other positive states can become integrated and embody our lives. When we choose to practice, integrate, and embody gratitude, the results will help create a kind world we all hope for, desire for ourselves and for our future generations. And that's one of the things, you know, you kind of want to go up sometimes and shake people and say, have you ever heard of Taoism? Because you need to change. We need more people like us in the world that are going to do the right thing, that are going to be kind, that are going to try and shape the world the way it should be. And it's so hard, you know, like I sit there and I watch the tweets from Donald Trump like everybody else, and I look and I go, that's the thing that my little 2-year-old, I'm teaching, don't say bad things to people. If you don't like someone, don't say anything. It's like all the things that we learned as children are the same things. And it's so hard to see that. And you kind of want to throw your hands up and go, it's every man for himself. We've got to protect ourselves. But it's up to people like us to go out and to propagate now and to try and be kind. And, you know, if somebody had come up to me and dragged me and said, you're going to go sit at Mason's house and you're going to listen to what he has to say, I wouldn't have gone. But I met Sam, it was a calling, it was our path. It's whether you believe in your destinies or we have a path in life, it was something that brought us together. And that kind of thing happens daily if you keep your mind open to it. And then the more I heard, the more I liked, and it just kind of grows from there. And so anybody who's been involved, you can't go out and grab people and drag them and say, you have to listen to this. You just have to live our lives this way, and people will say, why are you so happy? I want those drugs. And you say, well, it's not drugs. I just change the way I think. And people will be attracted to it. You know, I said at the start, like, when I teach a class on leadership, you know, strong leaders, healthy minds, and I teach it to a big corporation, when I put the little bits of Taoism in it, or the little bits of mindfulness and stuff, at the end, when people want to talk to me, that's what they want to talk about. You know that thing you put up there, with the yin and yang symbol? Explain that. That was really interesting to me. Honestly, that's the one consistent thing that happens to me all the time. People are like, I want to know more about that. Because, especially with the world today, we're looking for something that makes us feel grateful and makes us feel happy. And we're drawn to that. We all know the importance of mindfulness, right? When you're mindful, you carefully observe your thoughts and feelings without judging them. Instead, you let life pass you by. And it's just, like I said, when you write those 3 things down, you're going to start to see that you just appreciate things so much more. So that was me, Eric, yesterday. Why you put that in? So thank you for listening to me.